bad is going to happen.
The game is really in a healthy state. There should be actually lots of counterpicking.
It's currently 3 hours after Venture's early access release, and the Overwatch community are doing the best impression of a cheeky owl by sitting on the fence. How could anyone know anything? Let's wait to see what the pros do. But we ain't no fence sitters here. My style is more proudly manning the town bell and screaming when I smell gas like a canary in a coal mine. Hero number 40 and the newest DPS hero, Venture, is a tank. Very sneaky, Blizzard. I see what you're doing. You can't fool me. Don't want to talk about 6v6, but start bringing in the synergies through the back door. I don't mind. You can keep doing it. That's okay by me. Oh God. They buffed. Yeah, that's not gonna work. They know, right? They know they did this, right? To bring people up to speed, Venture has a left click which deals 80 direct damage, 16 minimum AoE damage with 45 maximum, a dash whose first hit does 70 damage and hits repeatedly afterwards for up to a max of 100 damage total, a quick melee which does the normal 40 damage up front, and a burrow ability which takes a hot second to get started and allows you to jump out of the ground into the enemy team doing an AoE with a minimum of 80 damage and a max of 110 when you're right on top of the enemy. That's pretty much it. They can dash while underground for more movement and a shorter cooldown. Their ultimate does 4 shockwaves that deal 125 per piece. It's okay. Their left click can be animation cancels into melee, doing 150 damage with a little combo, and can also be cancelled into dash for 180 damage. This seems fine, right? Surely it's fine. But Ralph, look over there. It says that Venture is a DPS. And over there it says that no funds are, sorry, 1 tank is allowed. See, the sign's fine. And to that I respond, well, my friend, what gives you any impression that Blizzard actually knows what a tank is or does? Okay, so what is a tank? There's 3 different types of tanks that went into the 6v6 format. Firstly, there was a poke enabling or poking tank. These guys take space at range by poking out the enemy team's poking angles, burning their resources, and generally staying by cover without having big incentives in their kit to press W towards the enemy. These are your Sigmas. Then there's what I call off tanks. These characters can be pretty much anything in terms of the rest of their kit, but are defined really sharply by the fact that they give big bursts of resources to other characters on their team. These are your Zaryas and Divas. Then there's initiators. These characters are defined by their large pressure cycles they do through pressing buttons and purposely burning resources in order to force space through damage potential. Initiators are defined in part by the fact that their pressure is localized, cleaving, and close range. This means that in order to output the maximum pressure they can, they have to be given extra resources to allow them to cleave further and deeper into the enemy team. These are your Reinhardts, Winston Rams, Junker Queens, etc, etc. When these characters are given more stuff, they don't just do additively more pressure, they do multiplicatively more pressure. Just say that 4 times. So in Overwatch 1, they were by and large paired with off tanks who can give big bursts of resources in things like Bubble and DM to either allow them to force more space or stop them dying when they screw up by burning too many resources while forcing space. These characters are conduits for resources. Reinhardt Diva was a thing for a reason. Rein Zarya was a thing for a reason. Winston Diva is the same, and Winston Zarya is exactly the same. This is by and large the majority of the discussion as to why 5v5 has been a bit of a disaster on the tank front. The game has a lot less depth when only 2 people on the support line can funnel resources into the initiator, compared to the depth possible in the game when you add another bursty resource into the mix. The coordination that you can have with 3 people funneling resources up the pipeline in order to do more just has a higher skill cap and is kind of just more interesting. But if you give like Reinhardt more health instead of a Zarya bubble, it's kind of boring. If you give Winston more health instead of the DM, it's still kind of boring. So you might kind of see where I'm going with this. There's a combo. I don't know if you've heard of it yet. Left click, right click, left click melee. 340 damage, and it's pretty much guaranteed because drill dash is very consistent. And left click melee afterwards is easy as anything because you're going to be in melee range. The hardest part of the combo would be the first left click, but even when completely missing it, the combo still deals 260 damage. This could be followed up if you survive enough time with Burrow, which is a guaranteed escape once you're inside. But not only that, the combo has a massive amount of AoE damage associated with it in the area it's used on. 70 damage guaranteed from the first hit of Drill Dash, plus 40 from melee, 16 minimum per primary fire. With everything added up, you're doing a good of 130 damage splashed to pretty much everyone near the combo, even if you aren't aiming at them. Alternatively, you could commit all of your stuff, and you could use the Burrow exit, nobody even knows what it is called at the moment, at the same time, which does... What are you doing, Blizzard? 430 damage. This isn't even hard to land. What the hell? Like, even the minimum damage this combo can do with like 80 damage from burrowing nearest the enemy, 16 from the left click splash, 40 from the melee, 70 guaranteed with the dash. If you literally go out your way to miss everything, the combo still does 226 damage. Yeah. But I don't care about this being very interestingly tuned in terms of numbers. That doesn't matter to me. Blizzard have plenty of time to fix that, and it isn't even a worry in general. Don't get your pitchforks out just yet and go through the assumption that this is a half-baked reaction based on training room numbers. What's worrying to me is that all of this is a cleaving, piercing pressure cycle defined by its close range and therefore by the fact that you must put yourself at risk to use it. So you necessarily need a funnel of bursty resources from other players on your team to put out your maximum pressure. Venture is a tank. And I don't know if Blizzard is screwing with me, because they've said they don't want to talk about 6v6. They said they have no desire whatsoever to even visit the discussion. They've made no signs ever of even knowing this flow of resources between off tanks and main tanks was a thing. And then they're putting an initiating tank into the DPS category so we can pick them with the donators of Zarya and D.Va at the same time. Like, you know, right? This can't be by accident, right? You know. Because if you don't know, like... if you don't know. So there's a thing that happened when we went from 6v6 to 5v5. Tanks spying the hole were brought a bit closer to the middle. Reinhardt got an extra fire strike and charge cancel to help with range. Winston got an... yeah, does anyone even use this anymore? Blizzard have Blizzard just forgot about this? The resource donators, the off-tank Zarya and D.Va especially, were drastically hit in terms of the value they can get, because the specific types of resources they have had nobody guaranteed to use them. They were resource donators with no conduit. They were supports with nobody to support. The only real use for these resources is cancelling out the enemy team's pressure cycles, putting them on DPS duels, stuff that isn't really as impactful as using them on an initiator. If you're a smart cookie at this point, you might have realized that quite a lot of the abilities in the game are actually similar to DM and Bubble in that they're time bound over a really short period of time and they're really bursty, like Suzu, Life Grip, Lamp. Part of the reason why the game gets so much about denial, especially when you've got preemptive good staging for a poking angle, is because the poking angle doesn't need these abilities to be used aggressively in order to actually go into the enemy backline and make space, so they can exclusively be used as denial. And that's essentially where we've ended up with Zarya and D.Va. So when these characters made the transition to being brawlers and bruisers, or as I would like to call it, very damn boring compared to what they were before, they had to be compensated for the nerfs, and compensate them they did. Zarya now has an 8-second projected bubble cooldown instead of 10, and can use both bubbles on herself or on an ally with a short cooldown. D.Va now has a 3-second defense matrix instead of the old 2 seconds, which provides functional immunity to anyone in range, as well as shed loads of additional health buffs, because she now at mid ranks needed to be the person on the front lines going toe to toe with the enemy tank doing that death stare, because those people aren't really smart enough to know about shooting the backlines. Both of these characters had to have been made much better, because their types of resources, large bursts which should normally be used on someone as a conduit to create amazing amounts of space, could no longer be used in that way in 5v5. So we buffed DM. Oh god. You can just kind of DM Venture for 3 seconds and allow them to murder anyone they want. If you do the D.Va Venture combo, there's nothing on God's green earth that can kind of stop them hunting down and murdering anyone if they're in range for Drill Dash. I mean, yeah. The community at large, as I've already stated, are fence sitting. Some people are saying Venture might not even be that good at this point. I kind of agree. Tracer and Sojourn have been so criminally overpowered since Overwatch 2's launch that it's a bit hard to justify running anything else. But if Venture does see play, this won't be just a problem for balance. This will be a problem for hero design. It's very simple. When you make your resource donators good enough to see play without a consistent resource conduit to funnel their stuff into and make space, they necessarily are going to be overtuned when you finally give them that conduit. So when people finally realize this pairing after, I don't know, like how long is it going to take for the Overwatch community to realize this? Like maybe a month after release? What the hell genuinely are we going to do? Blizzard's options are going to be simple. Like either they nerf Ventures that are not overtuned when played with their enablers, and they'll be terrible in comparison when played without the synergy. This probably isn't happening. I mean, hero releases are kind of the best time for Blizzard to get people to come back to the game to buy skins. So, I mean, they make them overpowered because of course they do. I did have the thought immediately when Blizzard said the heroes aren't going to be paid to win anymore, that, oh, we can just buff them as much as we want, and don't worry, you can't pay for power, so it's fine. Sometimes I do think I'm a little too cynical. Alternatively, instead of nerfing Venture, you could nerf DM and Bubble in order to reduce the specific synergy inherent to the pairing, meaning that both of the bursty resource giving tanks would be significantly weaker when not paired with Venture. I don't know, or we could all admit that there was some beauty and joy in playing with an Initiator off-tank pairing and enjoy Venture while we got them, because mark my words, Venture Diva is going to be fun and terrible, and yeah. So why have I got this out so fast? Why am I making predictions after 3 hours of hands-on time with a hero when my videos normally take like 3 weeks to come out? It's pretty simple. Like, if I'm gonna make theories about the game, I'm just kind of a coward if I don't test them by publicly stating what the theories suggest will happen. If you can't make predictions with your theory may as well not exist. So as a result, you better like and subscribe so you can tell me in 2 months if I was correct. Maybe even pop by my stream for coaching and advice on how to play the new hero. This guy just got to top 500 on Alari after talking to me. That's great. Very proud. Anyway, thank you for listening to me ramble. Cheers.